My name is Christina Pierce, and this is day 3 of having my kids taken away from me. My voice is not good. I don't know if I'm getting sick or I've just cried so much that maybe my vocal cords are inflamed. I know I've screamed. Maybe I've screamed in my sleep. I was finally able to sleep a little last night. I slept for maybe 5 hours. I don't know if you can call it sleeping because it's not really sleep. I can't really equate it. It's kind of like, say the closest person to you in your life has died and your body's exhausted, so it's resting, but you're not like sleeping. You're not in REM. You're not recharging. You're just, I don't know, it's like charging your phone and getting the battery to like 5%, from dead or something like that. That's how it feels. When I wake up in the morning, my anxiety is the highest. Or I don't say anxiety. It's not really anxiety. It's like hopelessness. I think that's because I haven't done anything for however many hours, and I don't think I've talked to anybody, to help me fight to get my kids back. And so I don't know. I can't let that take over. I can't. I won't. I'm wearing my Taylor Swift sweatshirt. I don't know why I got this. I guess it was kind of FOMO because I guess this one wasn't available online and didn't really get it at the concert. My daughter, when her father transferred out all our money and left, the day quarantine started of the pandemic, she had a really hard time. She had our family change, and she lost school, friends, all contact with the outside world on the exact same day. It was really tough. But she discovered a love of Taylor Swift. She was 5 years old then. And she asked me, as the pandemic went on, if I would take her, or if I promised I would take her, or could I take her to the Taylor Swift concert? And I told her it's the pandemic, concerts are happening right now. And she was like, will you promise you would take me when they do come back? And I promised her. I said, I promise, Of course, I had no idea what would happen with the ticket sales. In my house, it's very important not to lie. We had issues in our house with lying, and was instructed to never lie to the children because children think in black and white. They don't understand gray, whereas us adults can lie in gray. Some of us lie pathologically, but, we tell white lies sometimes as a parent. We were told to correct any white lies because that was important given what the kids were experiencing at the moment. So I implied that, and when the separation started, I made sure not to lie to the kids. Of course, it doesn't mean I'm going to tell them everything, but, there's kind of creative ways to give. A pediatrician actually once told me you give a little bit of information, child-friendly information, and then if they're satisfied with that, they'll stop asking. And if they're not, they're going to press on, and you can just do the same thing, and at some point, their little brains have had enough, and it's satisfied their curiosity. That it's important to not tell kids like, oh, you can't know that, you're too small, or that's kids stuff, because it makes them feel unimportant. And that's a kind of a creative way to not, give them the harsh realities without making them feel insignificant. Anyway, I promised her, so I got the tickets, and we went. We dressed up. She wore a lot going on at the moment t-shirt, because she did have a lot going on at the moment, and I wore an outfit from Look What You Made Me Do. I think of that song sometimes in the line, like, maybe I got mine, but you'll all get yours. But I didn't deserve this. I'm not perfect, but No one deserves this. My kids don't deserve this. All I can do today is dedicate every moment to fighting. That might mean somebody forcing or having me eat something to keep my body moving. That involves staying hydrated so my body can keep moving and my brain can keep moving. And that involves, working on all the amazing resources that we've assembled. And when I feel that it's too hard, I see a message from someone saying the exact same thing happened to them. I got a message from a girl who, I won't use her name, but she lives in Lowell, Massachusetts. And she had the same exact thing happen. She can Zoom with her children 3 days a week, 3 times a week. And that felt so strange, like how coincidental that some other judge would give the same exact order. Like, what is this, a template? And we have very different stories, but she said she tried to enroll her son in a school class because the father wouldn't talk to her about it. So she went ahead and did it so the kid didn't miss out. I'm sure there's more, but I can tell you with mine, there's more, but there's no more that contributed. There's no more. I feel like she's probably just like me, that she's never been arrested, that she probably doesn't do drugs, that she's probably a great mom whose child comes first ahead of, dating or finding a new boyfriend to move in. But I would guess if what happened to her happened to me, she's an amazing mom, because I know a lot of not amazing mom. I mean, not a lot, but you know what I mean? I know people that struggle really bad, and they don't have to Zoom with their kids 3 times a week. They hug them. They take them to school. They brush their hair. They hug their little girl when she's lying down and you're running your fingers through her hair, and she says, "Mommy, you make me feel so good." When my son says, "Mommy, cuddle me. You're my favorite because you cuddle me." I never would have thought this would happen if somebody had told me. Never. If somebody had told me this 6 months ago, knowing, what I was experiencing 6 months ago, but it pales in comparison. If anybody told me this on March 14th, well, let's say June of 2020, I had survived, quarantine as a single mother of 2, and the rug pulled out under me and our entire lives changed, I never would have believed this. Part of me doesn't believe it now. Like, sometimes, very briefly, I forget, like, for an instant. And then I remember, this is happening and this is my life. And this is happening to my kids. They are my kids. And I've had them taken away from me physically and legally. And I got in trouble in court for saying my kids. when I've explained, it's like saying my babies. Even if you're married, even if you love, you have a loving partner of 20 years, you would still think of your children as your babies. You wouldn't sit there and say our babies when, you know what I mean? When you're talking about your baby, it's your baby. They try to make it so they're not my babies at all. My kids were so upset when he told them, you'll see mom on Monday. I think yesterday I said Wednesday, but I'm so tired. And they were like, why Monday? What? Why Monday? Why can't I talk to her sooner? And I thought of that. It was like 3 times a week Zoom means he has to allow me 3 times a week Zoom. It doesn't mean he can't do 5. It doesn't mean he can't do 20. Like parents that have a parenting plan still probably do switches, still have extra nights sometimes when plans change, or, if their kids want to see their dad and their dad's available and you're like, hey, you want to see the kids today? Or even when my children have just missed their dad and wanted to call. You don't say, well, that's not part of the agreement. You let them call the parent that they miss. Isn't that parental alienation? Isn't that refusing to let your children talk to the other parent? I've never done that. My daughter had that gizmo watch that her father got like when she was 3. Of course, I set it up, because in my house, that's what the moms did. They did all the like planning stuff. So I was the number 1 contact and he was number 2. She could call him anytime, and she wore that watch for a while through my divorce process. And then she got a kid-friendly phone. He's a contact in there. She can call him anytime she wants. This is day 3 of having my kids taken away from me from Suffolk County Probate Court.